Garage.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to Jimbo's Garage. Well, today we're going to be building yet another metal gate. You know, this is the fun thing about what I do here, making gates. Not every gate is the same. They're all just a little bit different. In some cases, a lot of it different. In this situation here, we have an opening between the house and a block wall that is about 6 feet wide. The owner wants to put a walk gate in there, but he doesn't want it a 6 foot wide gate. He's looking for about 42 inch wide gate. And so what that's going to entail is having a walk gate and a side panel, but we want to incorporate this radius the full 6 foot length of the opening. So we will have a gate here about this wide and then a side panel here. Something a little bit different. I've never done anything like this before, so I'm hoping that I can bring you guys along, show you how we're going to do this. I hope it works out. But I've got a little illustration, and I want to show that to you so you've got a better idea on how we're going to build this. So let me show you that, and we'll get started in today's video. Okay, so I'm not an artist, but I'm hoping this will give you guys a better idea of what this thing is hopefully going to look like by the time we're done. This here represents the block wall on the one side, and then the house is over here on this side. This opening is about 6 feet. It's close. It's like 70 inches or something like that. So the idea is because this block wall is not perfectly plumb, I'm going to be putting a 3-inch square tube, 1/4 inch wall thickness in the concrete, about 2 foot. That's what this represents, and this pole will be perfectly plumb. The house is plumb, so now that gives us this opening that is going to be perfectly plumb, and it'll help us to build the gate. So this section, the radius piece that I have made is this length right here. So the idea is to make a break someplace down here in this gate about 42 inches, and that's leaving this side panel left. Now the side panel, I'm going to also have the legs embedded in concrete, so we have a lot of rigidity in the side panel, and of course the gate's going to be welded with some hinges to here, so it should make everything nice and plumb. I got a little decoration, some knuckles that are going to be going in here, as well as some screened backing on the back side of the gate, so you can't see through into the backyard, as well as these pickets right in here. So anyways, this is the idea. So hopefully when it's all done, it kind of looks like this. The radius is all one, and the gate separates from the panel. So let's get started today's video. Okay, so you know, obviously I have this piece here made from the metal supply store. I don't have a roller here, so I can't make this radius. So I had them make it. And there's special machines that do this type of stuff. This is square tubing. Now, I may have made a mistake here. I don't know why they didn't suggest this to me, but they do it all the time, but nothing was said. Now, I'm using 063 material. This is 1.5 inch square tube. And I wanted this, I gave them a dimension, I gave them the radius, and it's bent exactly to that radius. There's one thing though that is kind of weird, and it's right here on the very end, and I'll bring you in and show you a close-up of that, is when they ran it through the roller, it flattened the tube out and kind of flared it. So it's kind of out of square now. And I hope it doesn't pose a problem when I go to weld the legs on the side rails. That you know, might be off a little bit, but yeah. Anyways, we'll deal with that as we go. So let's do it. Sometimes you guys, you know, you see fast forward all the time, and you don't really realize the actual speed of it. Well, here's, you know, how it goes, and this is about the speed that I travel. But anyways, if I did that, this video would be 4 days long. So we speed things up here a little bit, and you can see I'm at the process where I'm just assembling everything right now, and just piecing the frame together just to be sure everything is going to fit the way it's supposed to. I was a little concerned about that radius piece being kind of oblong or not perfectly square, but I might have a little bit of problem with that when I weld it together in the corners, but we'll see. Right now I'm just getting everything where it needs to be and just checking for square, and you might see that that 5/8 squared tube that goes across. Now that is, I've got that tacked into place. Once I got everything nice and square, I tacked it into place because I didn't want anything to move around while I was adding all the other components here. And just didn't want anything to move. You can see I've got a nice reveal right there. It's about a 1/2 inch all the way down, and I'm just putting in the final pieces, make the last little adjustment, and put that tack on that cross piece just to hold everything through the whole duration of this build, so nothing's going to move around. So once I got everything done, it's just welding everything out. And this is this right here is where it was a bit of a problem. You see me kind of stitch welding right here, where the radius was crimped and oblong as in relation to the perfect square tube. So I had a little bit of an issue filling the gaps and getting everything filled up. And once I did that, everything seemed to be okay. This is 063. It's kind of thin material, so sometimes when you get a butt joint together, you got to use a stitch weld method right there. But when you get T joints or lap joints like that, you can weld through there pretty good. And here I'm just starting to go ahead and grind the welds off, and this is where I had to do a little bit of massaging right here to make it fit pretty good. And it's not perfect, but it didn't turn out too bad. I think it's something I can live with. The next step is to put the pickets in here, and after getting them cut to a little bit longer length, I spaced them out perfectly even and then marked them to the back side for the radius, and then just used my cutoff saw to cutoff wheel, I should say, to cut everything to length, and that actually worked pretty good. And then once everything was in there and spaced properly apart, just welded it all in. So far so good. This thing is taking shape. Sometimes during the course of a project or a build like this, I often have one problem after another, but this one seems to be moving along pretty good. A lot of help from that piece of 5/8 square tube that's welded all the way across to help hold everything nice and square into place as nothing's moving around. I like to weld the pickets all the way around, all 4 sides, to keep from water getting in there and rusting out. I notice a lot of these places, these big box stores, they'll sell you panels that similar, just regular straight fencing panels that are only welded on a couple of sides and allows moisture to get in there. But I like to weld everything completely around and seal everything up as tight as I possibly can. And that's what I'm doing right here. Sometimes it provides a little tricky angles to get to. You have to go from underneath, over the top, sideways, whatever it takes to get in there to get everything welded. But ultimately, it works out pretty good. Now, I'm just grinding the one side flat right here. These pickets, because I'm putting a screen backing on this, I had to hold the pickets flat to the one side of the fence. Or to the gate, so that the screen would fit flat on there. So I'm just grinding that surface, those welds down perfectly flat right there, so it allows for a nice fit. Not necessary on the other side. You can see the pickets are held to the one side right there, and I can't get in there to the other side, but it's all good. I flipped it around right here, and I'm installing the knuckles right now. And these are half knuckles, so they don't slide on the tube. They just slip on the top, and to allow for the screen to go on the back side there. I learned that the hard way one time. I was making something similar to this, and I put the solid ones all the way around and realized I couldn't get the screen on. I had to cut everything apart and redo it. But these little half ones here are pretty good. Work out perfect for this situation. Now I'm just putting a weld on one on either side. They're not structural, they're just decorative, so this is all I really need. You can see I'm just using a block of wood to space them out evenly, and once I got them all spaced out, like I said, just a little tack weld on both the top and the bottom on the one side is all you really need just to hold these things in place. And this is ductile cast iron. There's a difference between that and regular cast iron. This stuff welds a little bit easier. than straight cast iron. Cast iron has a tendency to pop and sputter and not really melt real good. But this product they have, this called ductile cast iron, is a little bit better to work with. You can just see I'm using the cordless Walter grinder here with a cutoff wheel to cut the screening for the back. You know, this thing works out pretty good. You know, 5.2 amp hour battery right here lasts a long time, and it's just kind of perfect for something like this. You know, with no cords hanging around it to get caught in the way. It worked out pretty good. All right, so there's a screen on. So that the next thing to do is to attach the screen. And you know what I like to do is use a 1/8 thick by 3/4 flat bar stock around the perimeter edges. And you can see me right here. I'm just clamping that down. You know, you can't have enough clamps. You know, I've got several here and about every 8 inches apart. And once it is where it is, just 1 inch tacks about every 8 inches or so is all you need to hold this in. You're just holding the screen in place on the outside edges so it doesn't go anywhere. And I just repeat the process all around. You know, this works really good. I've had no issues with it whatsoever. So I just went around, got all the edges that I could, and I was saving that radius part for the very last. Now in the center, I can't obviously get clamps in there, so I use this solid piece of bar stock, something that was relatively heavy that I could just get in there to hold the strap down so it wasn't blown up when I was welding it, and that actually worked pretty good. This strap was really flat, so everything worked out really good there. You know, once I got everything all the way around, you know, it was time to work on the radius. So I was trying to figure out how to do this radius here, and what I came up with is I just took it over to the porta band and I sliced this material about every 1 or 2 inches apart and down about 3/4 the way. Just being able to allow so I can bend this a little bit and conform it to the shape that I need for, you know, the top of the radius of the gate. And this worked out pretty good. I've never done anything like this. I just figured that this might work. So, you know, right out of the chute, I could see that it was bending really nice and smooth. Now, it took a little bit for me to get the radius exactly where it needed to be. But eventually I got it. It was just 2 or 3 times in the vise and a couple of corrections here and there, and I was able to make it work pretty good. So, and there it is, fits on there. So once I had it adjusted, just again repeated the process, clamped everything down, and just went ahead and welded that part of it out. So far so good. Like I said, I've never done anything like this, so it seems to be working good. I haven't had any hiccups yet along the way. And everything has seemed to be working pretty smooth, so I'm pretty excited about that. This is the last part of the radius. I just repeated the same thing basically and trimmed it and bent it to conform to the shape of the side panel right there. And to attach the screen, the rest of the screen, I'm just using some self-tapping screws and drilling in about these are about every 16 inches on center on the pickets themselves, alternating them, making them about every 8 inches or so. You can use them more, use less, whatever you feel you need to do. And like I said, they're just going into the back of the pickets, so it works pretty good for me. I've never had any issues, and it holds everything nice and secure in place. And they're little flat panhead screws in the back, so it's not they don't stick out too bad, and they're fairly smooth. You know, it's nice when they work. The pattern works perfectly, and you can make them look good. But on this one here, I was short one bar to make it perfect, so I just had to alternate it. But anyways, there it is. So the very last thing to do was to separate it finally, and this is the biggest thing I was concerned about. I thought I might have a big issue with this. I wasn't certain how this was going to work. And actually it was perfect. It came right apart and it didn't spring or anything like that. So now I'm just trimming about an 1/8 inch off, because I'm going to put a flat cap obviously on both sides, and to make it look finished and look like it's one solid piece. So once I got that trimmed off, it's just some flat bar stock, 1/8 inch thick, and just cut it a little bit oversized and welded it all the way around, and then just took the grinder, angle grinder with a flap disc on there, and just ground everything down to where it was nice and smooth. I was worried about making that piece nice and flat and flush with the bar, and it actually worked out perfectly. You can see right there that once it gets painted, it'll look like it was one solid piece. So I just repeated the process here on the other side, did the same thing, and it worked pretty good. I thought I might have an issue with this thing not looking square, but hey, it turned out really good. I was surprised. Again, moving along here, you can see the deformity in that radius right there. It's not perfectly square, but something that you're really not going to be able to see. So I'm getting right down to the end here. One of the last things to do is get the hinges welded on and the latches welded on, and that took care of that. The rest of it be installed in the field. There it is. It turned out really good. I'm really pleased with the way it turned out. I'm going to get a coat of paint on this thing, primer and paint, and get it installed at the customer's house. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe for more videos.
See you next time on Jimbo's Garage.